Okay, I believe we are broadcasting live. It's always a conundrum trying to see if I'm on live or not and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys can hear me. And I've got like 50 tabs open here. So I'm here with Monique Williamson. She's head of the transaction coordination department at Skyslope. And I'm really excited about this conversation because I got my mind blown just a little while ago about all the things that the transaction coordination team does at Skyslope and how this really changes the game, in my opinion, in terms of I'm a huge fan of delegation. I'm a huge fan of scalability. And I think anybody who's watching this today is going to learn some things about either, hey, how to scale your team or, across multiple states, at eXp, utilizing Skyslope, solve some real challenges, and then really just the streamlining of the beginning of the transaction all the way to the end, the paperwork on the listing side, the buy side, managing that entire process, with predictability and precision. So Monique, welcome to the call. I would like you to just take me through literally 3 times in a row. You blew my mind as to some of the things that you guys do that I didn't even realize that you did. But yeah, welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm glad you decided to join me today.
Oh, thank you so much. I will admit, full disclosure, I am a little nervous. I have never done a Facebook Live, so please forgive me if I stutter or do anything embarrassing. But I'm actually really excited because we have started this department inside Skyslope. We are a team 100% dedicated to transaction coordination services for both our Skyslope and non-Skyslope users. And really, it's just caught on like wildfire. And it's kind of ironic, well, not really, but it's funny to me that something grounded in common sense and based on what agents really need, people are actually shocked to hear, that we offer it, but it's all just common sense stuff that makes sense for the agents. And we will always, be improving to make sure that these services become more robust. But as it stands right now, here's some of the gals that are on my team. We actually have quite a few more. We're growing like crazy, and constantly adding TCs. And what we really focus on is, I know this is crazy and you guys have never heard this before, but agents don't typically like doing paperwork, and it actually directly funnels away from them doing more business. So what we focus on is getting all of the things that are non-deal generating activities off of everybody's plate. And I'll go over the list of services, but when you sign up for SkyslopeTC, you actually get assigned a TC, one of these gals here, to work with specifically. Whether you're a team or an entire brokerage or individual agent, you get to work with that same person all the time and really learn how to, develop that rapport and get on the same page. They become almost like a TC and a personal assistant melded together. So when you work with the SkyslopeTC, TCs, you actually have that long existing relationship. And then you have the bandwidth of a team of over 20 people so that if anything ever happens where they actually have a life, take a vacation, get sick, you guys aren't left holding the bag. So how we actually founded this whole project or the department is I say we, but it was me. It was just me in a room with about 100 files. I TC'd all of them for free. And I basically just did this huge beta test group with a bunch of really high producing local real estate agents. Strange, when I was offering free TC services, it was really popular. I had more than I could possibly ever dream of. So what I did was I just looked at, hey, what works for you guys? What really bothers you about TC services? What do you wish your TCs did? And luckily for me, the agents were very, very honest. I got tons of feedback. They sent me a wish list of items, and then I built the service based on all of that feedback. And so that's why we're so popular, is that it's really driven by what real estate agents want and need. And there's a lot of TCs out there that aren't doing such a great job. And so we're trying to change that mindset of, TCs telling agents, this is what you have to give me, or this is how you have to be with me. We're service-based. We will be the flexible ones. We will adapt to every agent. The agents don't adapt to us.
Right. So for those of you that are watching right now, and I see all of you. What's up, Luke? Hi, Nikki. Lindsay Goodyear, what's up, man? How you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Grant Johnson, my man, what's happening? Steve Freeman, Brad, Jose, Joel Hollow, what's up? Just wanted to say hi to you guys. I see you guys watching. So I want you guys. What's up, Gordon? How you doing, buddy? And McCarthy, Jonathan Carbuti, what's up, my friend? And Adam Bailey, a lot of people. So I'm just giving a few shout outs here. What if you guys have questions as we go through this? Because we're going to talk, through some of the services they provide, some things that I just wasn't aware of in terms of, they're just looking at things a lot differently that I think most of us have. And I'm really excited about this because I think this provides, a scalability component for, the mega agent teams that are, expanding outside of, state lines. That becomes a real challenge. Obviously being a part of eXp Realty, which is, kind of the way we're talking through this, it is a huge opportunity. But, if you don't mind, share this. If you guys, those of you that are eXp, share this, on your timeline for people to see it. And we'll get this out there where a lot of people can become aware and take advantage of this awesome service. So appreciate you guys. And chime in. I'll be looking for questions. And anybody here that has questions about the service, we'll ask Monique and she can answer them. So, yeah. So, all right. So keep on going. So, one of the things that you blew my mind earlier whenever you started talking about the beginning of the transaction starting at, at the time of listing, and the fact that you guys, actually will prepare the paperwork for the listing. Maybe I'm just old and I haven't been closing deals in a long time, but I was not aware that was a service that you guys provided. So talk about that, when you guys want to become engaged with the client, and what all is really included in the transaction coordination piece.
Yeah, let me go ahead and skip ahead because that is a topic that we can cover right now. So a lot of people have more of I would say, relaxed approach when it comes to the deal, and we actually don't. So we are kind of aggressive when it comes to our proactiveness. And when we talk about being proactive, we're talking about talking with our agents or our teams or our brokerages and talking to them about what do you have on the books today when you're meeting with clients. If you're going out to a listing appointment and you're pretty confident that you're going to get this listing, let us prepare that packet for you. Let us make sure that we're involved, we're aware, and we know that this is coming down the pipe, because then we can provide all the documentation. We can make sure that your client gets this amazing experience, because nobody likes to get a million things to sign. So if we can make it streamlined and efficient so that every time the client is meeting with you, you're taking care of things at that same meeting, we're going to set you guys up to look really, really prepared. So on the pre-listing services, we like to get involved when you're meeting with a client. We also like to pull all disclosures and get them over and prepped and signed by our clients, so that when that offer rolls in, we're already hitting the ground and running. So, we don't really get concerned about sending disclosures to the other side, because when we're being proactive on the listing side, we've already got them. We're locked and loaded. And right. That's a big piece to our service, because we also set up reminders that are pretty different than your standard TCs. We don't remind you the day before or the day of. We do that plus 72 hours out, 48 hours, because of the fact that we want to make sure that when you are negotiating a deal and there's a deadline coming up, that we're not bombarding you day of, and then you're having to hurry up and get to your computer or hurry up and look at what's going on and then give us a piece of information. We want you to be able to say, okay, yeah, we have a couple days. Here's what I'd like to have prepped. Go ahead and send this out, or hey, let's wait for a couple more days. We really want to be proactive and make sure that you, again, look super polished and put together, and all of your documents are coming over ahead of time.
Right. So okay, so I'm getting questions. Heather asked a question. Okay, so this is probably what everybody's thinking too right now. So what's the cost, and what happens if that listing doesn't close?
So this is why I always try to save this page to the end, because this is like the finale, and
right.
I didn't. So here's the thing. We don't charge. It's free of charge if the deal does not close. So a listing doesn't represent any commission for you folks. So there's obviously no charge associated with listing work. We only get paid when you guys. We only get paid when you guys get paid. So when the file actually closes, escrow account gets funded, we get $300 per closed transaction. Otherwise, there's nothing. And we really believe that you guys do a lot of work without getting paid, so we're not going to be punitive when your deals fall through.
Right. So I want to see some love if y'all like that. Give me some hearts if y'all think that's a good deal, because I love that. That's awesome. So yeah, so that very cool. So thank you. We got lots of love. Everybody loves that. So we don't like it when deals fall apart either, no more than you do. So we appreciate that recognition and alignment really to the end goal of closing the deal. So very cool. All right,
Yeah.
so I know I've wrecked your entire presentation. So keep going.
Right? It's like that joke when I don't know if you guys have ever seen Nick Swartzen, but it's like when the ice skater falls and has to get up and finish their whole routine, like they didn't just eat it in front of millions of fans. That's kind of how I feel right now. No, I'm just joking.
Right. Everybody loves you. So right now you got a lot of momentum going. So everybody right now everybody
going
is,
for the triple Lutz now.
Right.
So what those are my dad jokes. Please just feel free to love that. Anyways, so what we do on the scalability side, and this is really important when we're talking to top producers, we're talking to teams, people trying to expand, and then also brokerages. We offer something that is not very common out there. We offer the ability to run alongside you and match your bandwidth and never be overwhelmed, because what you guys are doing is you're focusing on deals, you're focusing on recruiting, bringing talent in, getting all that momentum, doing more deals. What we can do is I can fully staff and run a team of assistants/TCs for you in the background, where you don't have to hire, you don't have to train, and you don't have to manage them, and you can never overwhelm them. We are nationwide, and we work with thousands of different agents and brokerages. So you really can't throw anything at us that we haven't seen. So let's take a team that maybe has agents in Florida and Texas. No problem. We have files in both those states. We can have as many TCs assigned to your team as possible or as needed, and we will never be the limiting factor for you. That also means that you guys don't have to guarantee work, or, if you hire an assistant, you have to guarantee hours, benefits, all this good stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that. You don't lift a finger. We just run alongside you.
One of the challenges that I always had as I was growing the business was the seasonality of the market, and things always and June, July, August were always the biggest closing months, and I really always had to kind of hire a second closing coordinator to manage all my files during those times. And I didn't need them in the wintertime, but in order to onboard and be successful with the closing coordinator during the busiest times of the month, you ended up paying for having someone during times that you didn't necessarily need them. So just having the scalability, the ability to expand within the times that you need it, and not having to add a new transaction TC on depending on how many files. Yeah, I got a good question for you. I'm just curious. What's the average number? And I do have two questions after this too that people are asking. Gordon and JC both have questions, so I want to ask them. But what's the amount of files that a TC can currently manage? From your perspective, that you're seeing.
So we work for a software company, so I guess we have a pretty huge advantage. We actually built a TC app. There isn't anything out there that exists yet for TC technology, and so we decided that, from a Skyslope standpoint, we would just build it in-house. So we're currently, we've already released some of that technology to our TCs, and then we're constantly building more to it. So we have a pretty big leg up on how to do TCing, but the average TC in the industry, I would say, can handle about 30, 35 files. On our piece of technology, they can handle 60, and that's California. But
that answers your question, JC.
But in other states, I know this is a shocker, California is the hardest one. So in other states, it's a little bit easier. So they can handle quite a bit more. I have one TC who specializes in Oregon, and I mean, she's just like a beast mode. She can manhandle probably 80 files in Oregon because it's just not as hard.
Gotcha. Wow. So 60, 80, that's definitely above what I think what the average number of active files that I've ever had for a TC. So that's exceptional. That's awesome. So Gordon had a question. What is the experience level of the TCs that you have, and how is that? What can you expect in terms of their skill set and their experience level?
So we have a pretty wide range of experience level. What I found, and another kind of shocker, but hiring TCs with experience was kind of hit or miss for me. It was really hard to get people to kind of reset their brain and not do the TC service the way that they felt TCing should be done. So I have some folks that have about 17, 18 years of experience. They're kind of my unicorns because they were able to adapt and actually learn the way that I approach files. But really what I look for is a very specific type of person. I look for competitive, hungry people who like to hustle, and then I make them go through about 2 months of SkyslopeTC boot camp, and I have a slide on that as well. And they have to graduate out of the boot camp to start being an assistant. And then once they're an assistant and they help with files, then they are actually allowed to touch real files. I found a lot more amazing TCs through this process than bringing people on, and I'll just be 100% honest, that are already burnt out and have the worst customer service skills I've ever seen. It's people who were already TCs were just like, I don't like agents, da 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 da. It was like, that's not going to work for me because we are our agents' cheerleaders. We're here to, help them along. So I just switched my mindset and really went after people who are like-minded to our agents. So people who like to hustle. The competitive is really big for us. Attention to detail, super focused, high sense of urgency, organization, prioritization skills. So I actually pulled a lot of people from like legal fields and other, kind of fast-paced, very serious areas of industry. And I actually train them from the ground up because I'm also pretty big control freak on how we do the service.
Right. So let's talk about this. We keep your auditor happy. No more chasing down paperwork. Talk about how SkyslopeTC works with eXp in order to streamline the entire closing process.
So the cool part about our service is that we are in-house inside Skyslope. eXp uses Skyslope. Any brokerage that uses Skyslope, we have this nice ability to be able to reach out to the auditor and ask them exactly what boxes need to be checked for you guys to get paid. So we focus all of our efforts on making sure, number one, the file is compliant, it's 100% complete, and that your auditor is just, nodding their head and checking down the list going, yep, let's go ahead and release that check. So that's how we keep the auditor happy. We are also in communication with eXp auditors all the time. So they know that they can trust us. They know that we are going to ask for clarification, give them forms. I mean, we've even given eXp forms to help them out saying, hey, look, we just, these disclosures are actually required in this area. Let's, send them over to the auditors so that we're all on the same page. So obviously we're, greasing the wheels to make sure that the agent experience is that much better.
Right. And so you'd mentioned, I think, there've been several people that have moved over to eXp and started taking advantage of SkyslopeTC.
Just a couple.
From other companies that shall remain unnamed on this Facebook Live. So tell me what you're finding people are really excited about, and what problem is it really solving for them as they're trying to scale, especially if they're trying to scale across multiple states and things of that nature. What is the feedback you're getting from those agents?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. So let's see. We've had quite a few agents switch over. That's actually how we started doing business with eXp, is that we kind of just landed in it. Our agents tend to take us wherever they go. Right. What I've experienced going through eXp is that it's much more centralized, and we really excel under that umbrella because we know the system, we know how to get things processed. Agents are getting paid on time. The restrictions or requirements are very clear. There's less cooks in the kitchen, I would say. So the TC is really given the opportunity to just manage the file, get it completed, and then the agent doesn't have to focus so much on the back end, but more so growing their team. And, I've seen quite a few agents who switch over as single agents, and then they've become these little powerhouse teams under that brokerage. So I hope I'm answering your question, but
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of growth, a lot of people who were just originally working alone now growing and becoming these little, power producing teams.
Right. So Nikki Gregory has a question. Do you support the new agent as they input what you need, or will the team still need to oversee that?
Oh, no, we help everybody. So, we will individually reach out to every single agent and introduce ourselves. And if they're a newer agent, we're going to help guide them through all the process. The only thing that we're not going to do is negotiate for an agent, but everything else, we're going to totally be the helping hand. Because obviously, sometimes they need help with setting things up or just getting off the ground. The TCs have no problem helping with that.
What about the, some of the touchier areas are always the inspections and repairs and things of that nature, communicating to the client back and forth, different things. What are y'all willing to do, not willing to do as it relates to those parts of the process?
So we will always have the agent's protection in mind for us. So we will always send the agent, hey, this just came through, or how would you like us to handle the following response? What we really try to avoid is advising. So we're never going to advise your clients on your behalf, and the reason why is that you don't want them to. What we would do is if we got a call or an email or a text message from a client saying, hey, I don't understand this document, what should I do? We would just funnel it back to the agent. So we would tell you guys, hey, it looks like your client has some concerns about this report. Would you like to go ahead and give them a call? The reason being is that I don't want my TCs ever put in a position of where they jeopardize or change the course of your deal, because that's not a good position for them to be in, and it's not a good position for you to be in as well.
Right.
But if it comes down to just simple stuff where the client says, hey, I can't figure out to open this electronic document, or I don't know how to fill this out, no problem. We will get on the phone and we will sit with them for the 15, 20 minutes that it takes to walk them through how to fill out the form. So, that's kind of where we draw the line. If it's negotiating or advising, we're not going to do it. But if it's everything else, we'll take that off your plate.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. So, had a couple questions. Heather Bodon asked if do they upload listings to agents MLS? Is that part of the service, or is that one of the things that's not necessarily part of the service at this point?
Case by case. It really depends on the specific MLS. We have some MLS that they allow us to have our separate logins. It really just depends on the region you're in. Some of them are very big sticklers, but case by case. We'll talk with the agents. We'll see where they're located, and go from there.
By a show of thumbs up, how many of you would like them to put the listings of the MLS for you? I'm just going to see if that's something that people are interested in. Okay. So one other question. Does this include listing assistance?
Like changing statuses and stuff?
It's kind of I'm not sure, Nikki. Hey, you might give me another run at that question. I got a lot of likes just now for that. I always hated putting MLS things in the MLS.
I mean, we don't mind doing it. Here's the caveat. When we have the information and it's ready to go, it's pretty straightforward. But what tends to happen is if we don't have complete information, we can't actually fully enter it in. So that's the only thing, is that if it's prepared, and that's why I said, kind of like an agent by agent, MLS by MLS, we could talk about that, because we do it for some agents and it's totally fine. Some other agents in different regions, it just doesn't really work.
Right.
So we could talk offline, but this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of service, guys. This is something that we tailor down to each one of you individually to best represent your needs. So some people rely heavily on one aspect of our services. Other people, completely rely on just the document generation, and they don't want us doing, 5 other things on our list. The list is big for a reason. We tailor it down to each one of you.
Gotcha.
And
That's
I'll pull
awesome.
that list back up so you guys can see.
Right.
This is the list of our most popular requests. So it's just a jumping off point. If we actually put together a whole list of everything we do, well, nobody would read it, and it would be pretty ineffective. So we just do the really popular ones.
Awesome. And David asked one question. This was my question earlier, I think, before we went live. What initiates the use of SkyslopeTC? So what is, the beginning, the first part of that process as far as a transaction is when a listing is being taken. Is that how you would look at that, or when a buyer is, put under contract? When does that get initiated? At the time that there's an agreement in place? What would you say the answer to that is?
It really just depends on when you guys want the help. I mean, if you want to just get paired with a TC, but you have nothing going on right now, we go ahead and pair you with your personal TC, and you guys start talking trade information. And then whenever you're ready to start a listing or a contract, they're locked and loaded. You have their contact info. We also get involved on the opposite end of the spectrum. We get involved when, let's say you're like, oops, my bad, I'm closing tomorrow and I might not have everything that I need. Give us a call. Those are called cleanups. They're our specialty. We jump in, we make sure we get everything taken care of, and then your auditor's none the wiser. So it really just awesome. Depends. Oh yeah, cleanups are kind of our jam when it comes to new agents joining our TC service, and then we tell them, okay, for the next one, don't do that. So we definitely have no problem getting involved as early or whenever you guys want us. We do like to be proactive, so if you have something that's already a listing, we can take over there, or if you're meeting with clients, I mean, really it just depends on each person's preference, but we're ready to go. I did want to point out one thing for you guys though, here at the bottom. This is something that we do that's a little bit different, and we just completed this, but we send out the master settlement statement to all the clients that you had through the course of the year from you as the agent, and we just let them know, hey, thinking of you, wanted to make sure that you had this ready for tax season because maybe you filed it away or it's still packed in one of those moving boxes, but here it is for your convenience, appreciate your business, and we send them that in late January, early February.
That's awesome. Very awesome. So,
and that,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And that just came from the fact that a lot of my agents were telling me that the only time their client would reach out to them is when they're like, hey, do you have this form? And so we're like, we should just add that to our service.
Right, man. Yeah, that's incredible. Love it. So essentially, if I have a listing appointment, I was going to go on this afternoon. You guys would have all the paperwork that I use on a listing for getting the listing, and you guys would manage that file as far as getting all the signatures on all of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. That's it's a huge help. When you're running and gunning and doing deals, and have someone to lean on from the very beginning of that transaction. I love the way you mentioned, you guys, how you look at that as that's the beginning of that transaction. And being a part of that, from the very get-go, not just at the time it goes under contract. I think that's a brilliant way to look at it. And we always tell everyone as we've coached, over the years, you'll never make $1 million a year doing $10 an hour work. And the fact that you guys have the mindset of really being a part of you're just like the best assistant you could ever have. So all these things are things that generally we're not the best in the world at as real estate agents, is taking care of all the details. So that's awesome that you guys do all that. So I'm super stoked about this service, and really the flexibility it adds. And this is something, I have a question that I'm not sure if I'll ask it correctly, and maybe some of you that are eXp already closing deals can kind of tell me how this process works. Again, since I'm not actually out there selling, I don't actually have the the screen time with, going through the transaction and closing it, and how that gets initiated with, the auditor and the transaction coordination side of things and the TC side of things. What I'm most interested in, I guess, is like that scalability from state to state to state. And when I think about, when we try to partner with agents across the country, the challenge was always in, you never knew what deals were being turned in. Again, we were independent, so you had only so much you could see as far as a deal that was going under contract. So if you have a partner, let's say you bring someone onto your team at eXp, and they're on a 50-50 split, and they're in, you've got 5 different states that you're operating in like that with deals getting turned in. How are you able to manage making sure that deal is getting turned in the right way, so that you guys are managing that transaction and the transaction coordination piece? Is that something that has to be initiated by each of those agents individually? Because historically, I would think what we would have had to have done is had one transaction manager that was in charge of all of those files. Whether we scaled it market to market or all in one hub. It was going to be, there was going to have to be someone that kind of managed that process in order to make sure we got paid on all those deals. So, does this process kind of being a part of eXp, is there a trigger or something there that helps make sure that, oh, this is so-and-so's deal that's going to go on this split and be managed by you guys, or do you guys get notified of that? How does that, if that made any sense at all?
I know that we can actually, so that's more of like a Skyslope and eXp situation. So I have a couple of TCs right now that work with teams, and there's a couple different ways to handle that. You can always add them as co-agents, and it instantly shares the file with that other agent. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but that's really nice, because then as like the leader of that team, you can see everything that's pending, everything that's active, and then you would actually get all of the notifications as well. And then from a transaction management or coordination standpoint, we like to keep teams together. So the one TC would be working with the entire team, or we would align, depending on how much volume they do, we would align the 2 TCs, and then we would have them on the same TC team. So it provides that continuity. And then there's ways through eXp to make sure that we're connecting the dots on the back end, so that they know that these are all connected. The eXp back end process, though, is centralized. So we send an email to the commission, basically the accounting commission department. There's a specific person that reviews the commission demand. It's generated from eXp. We make sure it's accurate, and then they release the checks based on their internal back-end process. So you can actually set up that it's a team on our end and then also on eXp, and we can accommodate that both at the TC level, the Skyslope level, and the eXp level, if that's not too confusing.
No, basically, yeah, I think you answered my question. And if anybody else has a question as it relates to that to me is a big deal, just in the, it just feels to me like there's going to be, a lot of large, mega icon agent teams that are, growing outside of their areas, and the ability to manage that and utilize, eXp and, the framework within eXp and Skyslope and SkyslopeTC to, streamline the entire closing process, whether it's a system or process that's used across all of those states, that's, managing the customer experience or whatever the case may be, or just how someone wants to operate, or just making sure that, that deals are getting turned in and you can see in real time what you have under contract and pending and stuff like that, is a huge benefit in, your ability to scale into multiple markets. So that's very, very cool. Very cool. So, if anybody else has any questions, Gordon asked if they could pick up transaction listings already processed. That was the cleanup thing that you talked about, which you said was your specialty, I believe.
Yep.
And so that's something absolutely, especially if you're going to closing, getting ready to close one out, and you don't have everything done. You can reach out to, who do they reach out to, by the way? What would be the best way for people to get in contact with you?
So we can actually have you guys email directly to mytc@skyslope.com, and that is going to go to the entire team. So you're going to get a response. You can also, we have our Facebook page up all the time. You can contact us through that. And then my direct line is I can actually, you have it, Jay, right? I
Yeah.
can, you can tag me in it, but it's 916-282-9435. And, I'm always available. My TCs do actually get time off. I am not a barbarian, but I unfortunately do not take time off because this is my baby. Like I said, I started this from the ground up, and I eat, breathe, and sleep TCing. So I'm
You,
always available.
we love you. You're a strange bird, but we love you.
That's awesome. I would be
No,
lying if I didn't say that I heard that, if I said I hadn't heard that before. I am.
yeah, right, right. Well, it takes someone with a lot of detail, paying attention to the details, process oriented. And over time, I've become more process oriented. I didn't used to be that way, but I realized how much more efficient things can become when you think that way. So by default, you start to move that direction in life, I think. So maybe you're just further along than I am.
I'm no comment.
Right.
I'll-
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions on here, and I really appreciate. I know this was a little bit out of the box for you to jump on and do this with me, but I just wanted to make sure that people are seeing the opportunity. Number one, the way technology can really help us grow and scale our teams, and how we can delegate and become more efficient, especially with the opportunity that eXp brings to the table. It's a lot more fun selling real estate when you're doing the things you love.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all we've got. So unless anybody else has anything, looks like there's no more questions. We're good to go. Monique, I will free you up, and you can get back to closing deals for agents. And again, thanks for taking the time to be on here today. And I'm sure I'll be talking with you more as we bring more agents over to eXp.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everybody.
You too.